Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be going ahead and talking about something pretty crazy, honestly, that happened, and it really just kind of highlights something that, people have been talking about for years, of course. People have been talking about gaming addictions and things like that for a long time now, and, how do we handle these kids and their video games? And it's gotten to this point, man, of like absolute lunacy. And, the story we're talking about today takes place in China, which obviously is a completely different country than, say, the United States, where, I'm from and the vast majority of you are from as well. But in all reality, this is kind of like a global issue, okay? This is something that's been talked about pretty much everywhere, it seems like. And, yes, while this specific situation took place in China, this is something, man, that is getting to a point of kind of lunacy, okay? With these enforcements and these rules and these restrictions and the way that, society's kind of, I guess, taking things. But China has apparently set a 3-hour limit for children to play online video games. They will only be allowed, apparently, to play video games on Fridays, Saturday, and Sundays, along with public holidays, between the hours of like 8 and 9 p.m. or something like that. So basically, they're limiting the amount of time that children can play video games in the country, to prevent them from getting addicted to playing video games, to prevent them from, quote unquote, wasting their time and rotting their brains and not focusing on the important things in life or whatever. Which, let's be honest, man, if you guys don't know, what's the important thing in life in China? Praising the Chinese Communist Party. If you didn't know this, Chinese society is pretty much ultimately dependent on, like, your love and, honor and respect for the Chinese government, okay? If you don't respect these motherfuckers, like, if you don't say good things about them, if you don't avoid saying bad things about them on, like, their social medias and stuff, your Chinese social credit, okay, will go down, and that can affect things like you getting loans and jobs and other things in their society. So that's what their society really is all kind of built around. And, they're kind of, I guess, masking this as worry for the children. But, in a way, I think that this is also a lot about, the government cracking down and controlling the population even more. This is something that you see commonly in a lot of these societies where the government overbears people. They take away entertainment and they take away music and TV and things like that to kind of wear down the psyche of people and to kind of hold them in place in a way. So apparently this is to really handle gaming addiction, which I guess is a plausible excuse, but of course there are other issues at hand in all reality here. But beginning September 1st, video game companies like NetEase and Tencent are required to limit online gaming to just 3 hours per week for minors, according to new rules imposed by Chinese regulators. As reported first by Bloomberg, children under the age of 18 will only be allowed to game for 1 hour between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and as well as public holidays. Additionally, game companies are required to restrict online gaming during these hours and must enforce a real name verification system in place, according to Reuters. This is not the first video game limit that has been imposed in China. In 2018, Tencent implemented a similar system where it enforced age checks and limited time spent on its mobile game Honor of Kings to 1 hour per day for children up to the age of 12, while children between the ages of 13 to 18 were restricted to playing for a maximum of 2 hours per day. So another one of these bans has been put into place / restrictions to, hold children back from playing these damned video games. Now, one thing I love to point out about these, these bans and about these concerns about video game addiction and all these things, right? The truth is, yes, video games can be addictive, as can literally anything on planet Earth. There are people who are addicted to eating furniture. There are people who are addicted to sniffing paint. There's people who are addicted to listening to music. There are people who are addicted to reading books. There's people who are addicted to hard drugs. There's people who are addicted to alcohol, water. You can get addicted to pretty much anything, right? Like there's a lot of things that you can be addicted to. But what's funny about all this stuff, when it comes down to it, like when they do these bans and stuff, you never see these bans for any other form of entertainment medium, right? Like, I know plenty of people who they watch movies for 8-9 hours a day. Or they'll watch television for 12 hours a day or something like that, and no one says shit about that, right? Like, how many boomers do you know who watch fucking Fox News and CNN and MSNBC and Entertainment Tonight and that stupid shit for the moment that the sun comes up to the moment that the sun goes down? Like, it literally happens all the time. This is something that's so common. But nobody ever says anything else about any of these other forms of things that people become addicted to, right? Like, apparently it's cool if a 65-year-old boomer who, has nothing better to do, sits around all day on the couch and, watches Sean Hannity or whatever, that's completely acceptable. But, if a 9-year-old kid plays Pokemon for too long, all of a sudden, everyone freaks out, the whole world goes into a panic and into a frenzy, and everyone loses their mind, right? I think that gets to a point of absolute lunacy. Now, don't get me twisted here, I do understand video game addiction and whatnot is a real thing. People do suffer, and families do suffer from things like this. There are people who, instead of paying their bills, they fucking buy $30 skins on Warzone all day. I understand that, but I feel like to a certain extent, not only is the issue overblown a little bit, but also it's over-enforced. And this is another one of these examples. I mean, let's really, look into this, right? So kids can play, 3 hours of video games a week, okay? Or maybe 4 hours, I guess, if you consider it a week with a public holiday. Okay, so yeah, they get 4 hours of gaming time. So what else are they gonna do now? What else are they supposed to be doing right now? I mean, the world is coming out of the midst of a crippling global pandemic that has been spreading, cases of COVID between millions upon millions of people. And I simply don't believe that China just doesn't have a problem with COVID, right? A country of 1.3 billion people, they just, they don't have a problem with COVID at all. Every other country on the planet is still dealing with it to some degree, pretty much. But all of a sudden, China just has no issue with it. They figured it out, right? But yeah. And then, of course, they've already implemented a ban or I guess a restriction like this in the past before. What exactly did it do? What did it benefit? What did it help, okay? Because if it did so much, right, like if I guess restricting kids from playing this Honor of Kings for more than one a day was such a massive success and, it completely made gaming addiction fall through the floor, then what's the need to continue adding more of these restrictions, right? Like if it's so successful, how come it doesn't just end there? The new regulations serve as a broad crackdown on China's tech giants. In addition to combating game addiction in China, roughly a month ago, a Chinese state-run publication published an article describing online gaming as, quote, spiritual opium, before removing the phrase, though the National Press and Publication Administration noted that online gaming influences minors' mental and physical health in its announcement post. These rules are only limited to online gaming and do not directly mention if non-online games will be restricted in this capacity. The new regulations also do not clarify whether or not console games and foreign titles will be required to comply with local regulations. So, first and foremost, if you ever see the phrase Chinese state-run publication, automatically not credible. Anytime that, you're being told something by a quote-unquote state-run publication, it's simply just an arm of the government that's telling you what the government wants you to believe. If the North Korean state-run publications came out tomorrow and said Kim Jong-un is God, people are not going to believe that shit. So I don't know why, people would care at all if a Chinese state-run publication said online gaming is a spiritual opium. Yeah, I guess it could be for 0.01% of the gaming population that can't handle themselves and end up developing a gaming addiction, but for the vast majority of people playing video games, they don't need this kind of fucking restriction, because most people do not become addicted to video games. You don't see people putting these restrictions once again on movies. If 1% of people get addicted to watching movies, why do 99% of people have to now be punished down to 1 hour of watching movies a day? Like, that's fucking stupid, is it not? And yes, online gaming, of course, is going to influence minors' mental and physical health, as will anything that isn't done in moderation. If your kid exercises too much, then that can cause problems. There's been scientific studies that show, if kids lift weights before puberty fully subsides and everything, that it can cause a lot of damage to the body and shit like that. Doing too much of anything without moderating it is going to hurt you. If you sit at an office desk for 12 hours a day, your fucking back's gonna be hurt. If you drink 17 gallons of water in 20 minutes, you're either gonna piss like a broken hose, you're gonna throw up, or you're gonna die. You know what I'm saying? If you eat 16,000 calories of McDonald's cheeseburgers in about 25 minutes and every artery in your heart ends up looking like Los Angeles freeways in fucking rush hour traffic, yeah, of course, doing things in non-moderation does cause damage. I'm not here to debate that. But imposing limits on people by the government like this on video games is fucking stupid. What it really comes down to is parents need to be parents, okay? Yeah, I agree with you. No 12-year-old child should be playing 8 hours of Fortnite a day, okay? I'm not gonna debate that with you. Like, when I was a kid, yeah, I loved playing Call of Duty. Maybe I played too much Call of Duty, but in all reality, that was my parents' fault, okay? It comes down to parenting. If you're a parent and you're allowing your kid to play 6 hours of video games a day and they're failing in school, that's a failure on you as a parent. The government should not be having to do your job for you in raising your fucking children. Like, it's that simple, you know, if your kid can't, you know, handle school or whatever and handle video games at the same time, take video games away. If your kid can't do their chores and video games at the same time, take the video games away. It really doesn't seem that hard, but it seems like society has made it hard. And I don't get it, man. Like, I'm not understanding what people aren't getting about this, but it doesn't have to get to a point where the government has to put a fucking 3-hour-a-week limit on kids to play video games. When this is a job for parents to handle, okay? The government should not be fucking cross-referencing your real name to make sure you're not playing too much Call of Duty. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, just stunned, honestly, and signing out.